What up and welcome. This is the Golden Era, and we are just about to begin the NBA Finals. But first, some league business to attend to. It is the NBA Draft Lottery, and this is a doozy, to call it lightly, I would say. This is at stake the opportunity to draft D.D. McDyess, the top recruit in this class, an elite point guard who at age 16 was deemed the perfect point guard by Slam Magazine, off to Illinois where he has an incredible career, a single season, barely call it a career, for the Fighting Illini, and he is now the top prospect on the board. But he's not all that's at stake here. There is plenty else to be determined. Let's start with the Clippers, who have been in this now year-long pursuit of getting Javon Boston, and Javon Boston in his year-long pursuit of getting to the Clippers. You'll remember a season ago, Javon Boston was the consensus number one overall selection. The Clippers, he said, is the only team he wanted to play for. Tried to pull a little Eli Manning activity. Didn't work out for him. And the Clippers, without their draft pick, it heads away via a trade that they made seasons ago. That trade means they don't have a first, which means they can't take Javon Boston. They can't even move up to number one, regardless of where they fell. So Boston says, I'm out. Goes over to Barcelona, plays a season for FC Barcelona on the hoops side of things. He's back. And both him and the Clippers have made no obvious inclinations, no demands that the two are trying to team up. Probably a good move because the league would come down hard on them if they did, but you have to still imagine the desire for both is to be there. So the Clippers really need to land within the top two so that they can get this guy they've been in pursuit of. Which would be the most comedic thing is if they land number one and they have to choose between Javon Boston, who's phenomenal, I think he's got all NBA upside, and D.D. McDyess, who has Hall of Fame type, generational savior type of upside. This isn't a two-man draft. I think there's 5 guys in this class that have at least all-star upside. We're going to dive into all 5 of these guys and more in the coming seasons, or the coming weeks rather. But behind D.D. McDyess, you've got Luis Kuzma, a forward out of UCLA. You've got Jermaine Rhodes, a forward or a wing out of Missouri. And then you've got Marquise Hightower, a wing out of USC. That's what we're looking at for the top 5 picks. It is not going to be just a two-man draft. That all kind of sets up where we are in terms of who's the players on the board and what we're looking for, who could be the potential number one overall pick. That does not mean that it's just the Clippers and whoever else to look out for. Because we have those other pieces, what else is on the board? Pelicans. The Pelicans had a disastrous season this past season. Second worst record, second best odds for a top overall pick. They also own the Nuggets pick, which means they could have potentially 2 top 5. Nuggets pick is in the 10 range. We'll get to all the odds here in a second. They could be continuing this youth movement that started last season when they took Baron Hunter 3rd overall and then Andre Schlorbach later on in the lottery. They've got Ty Outlaw, the point guard, so if they go number 1, would they make a move to move off of Outlaw if they could get D.D. McDyess? They need some wings, and this is a wing-heavy class. Memphis, they're in desperate need of some lottery luck. In 2031, when they still had John Morant on this team, they jumped from number 10 to number 2. That gave them an asset to use to get a win-now piece, which they did. They went out and they traded for Terrence Clark. But they also gave up picks in 2033 and swap rights in 2035. That meant that last season's pick, they don't have anymore. And the Bulls ended up, obviously, using that number 2 pick on Javon Stokes. The Bulls then used last season's selection, which ended up at number 12 as part of their trade package to go up and get Cavante Kennard. So the Grizzlies, who have their own pick, need this one to hit. They need to get an asset out of this class because they just don't have the capability next season with swap rights going to Chicago to make another pick. So you have to get something good if you're the Memphis Grizzlies right here. The Pistons and the Sixers, those two teams are early on in their rebuilds. The Sixers took E.J. Clarkson, number 2 last year. The Pistons took Yanni Giddens, the Rookie of the Year last year. Those guys just need a second piece. Some other pieces that's worth watching. The Mavericks, they have a top 10 protected first-round pick. That is currently going to Golden State. So during this lottery, you're going to see the Golden State Warriors up there. That is Dallas's pick. unless it falls outside of the top 10. I would expect that to stay with Dallas because it would have to take a cataclysmic event to move that pick out of the top 10. The Clippers, meanwhile, they have swap rates on that pick to the Lakers. So again, you're going to see the Lakers pick in there. That is not the Lakers picking it. That would be going to the Clippers because they would exercise that swap rate wherever that lands. We talk about them needing to land in the top 2. That obviously is it. That's all where we stand right now with what could be coming. Let's dive in and let's take a look at our odds, and then, of course, looking at where we obviously end up. So, the Sonics at 16, the Pistons, the Nuggets, the Wolves, and the Hornets, all with 1% odds, 12 through 16. Nothing super surprising right there. The Knicks, 1.8% odds, and the Rockets at 4.3 at 11 and 10. Hawks also in there at 9 with 4.3%. 8 through 6, Pelicans, via Nuggets, Lights, and again, that is going to be the Warriors. That says that's top 10 protected. That's going to Dallas unless craziness happens on the back end. Lastly, the Sixers, the Clippers, the Pistons, the Pelicans, the Grizzlies round out our top 16 and our top 5. All right, Mark Tatum heading to the podium. Let's get this draft lottery underway. First up, can the Sonics, they need to get something. The 1% odds don't come in for them. They stay at 16, trying to find something to play next to Alshon Webb. The Pistons coming up at 15. They got 2 picks in this top 16. They're going to stay right there at 15. They're really caring about their number 3 overall pick if that's going to move. So the Cavs lose that selection there. Here come the Nuggets up next. Again, this is via the Spurs. That stays put again. We're looking at the top 4 are all 1% odds. I think top 12, bottom 12 are all 1% odds. So no surprise here. The Wolves, by way of Washington, they stay put there, so 1% does not hit yet again for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And here come the Charlotte Hornets. Our last 1% odds. Do we get craziness? No, we don't. Regardless, that means the Mavericks are going to own their first-round pick. It's going to stay in the top 10 for a team that really needs as many selections as they can. Here come the Knicks at number 11. Are they going to stay put? They are. We are still chalk through 5. The Knicks with a ton of cap space. Big question will be last year on Zion Williamson's deal to see if they decide to make any type of move. Here come the Rockets coming in at number 10. Our first 4.3 odds and above. The Rockets have moved up into the top 4. Houston is going up into the top 4. The Hawks fall back to 10. Houston in the hunt for D.D. McDice to potentially pair with Darnell Gist. A huge win for the Rockets. Here come the Pelicans at number 9. That's not their pick. That's via the Nuggets. It's going to stay there as well. So Houston, our lone mover up. That's huge. That is absolutely massive. Coming in, number 8, that will be the Lights. They were originally slotted for 7. The Lights stay put at number 8. The Lights really could use a superstar. They're going to be outside of the range. Now you're looking to try to get into the top 5. That's where this draft has really got its talent. If the Mavericks can do it, they won't. They're going to sit outside of it. So the Sixers and the Clippers are the 2 teams looking at this right now and saying, can we try to jump in? Here come the Sixers. Are they going to stay put? They are not. The Clippers have fallen to number 6. Their pursuit of Javon Boston just got a heck of a lot harder, as they're going to have to be picking from number 6 to try to get up into number 2. The Clippers, a disastrous situation for them. The Sixers are into the top 4. Let's see if that is the only other jumper. The Pistons stay at number 5. So we are down to 4 teams left. But the Pistons have to be happy. They're in the top 5. That's where we're looking at some all-star upside pieces to pair with Yanni Giddens. You're going to get the worst of them, or at least who's left on the board. But our top 4, as we pause real quick here, our top 4 teams, it's either Memphis, New Orleans, Houston, or Philadelphia getting the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. That is for D.D. McDice, and whoever gets number 2 is going to be in a heck of a leverage position with the Los Angeles Clippers to try to pull some valuable assets out of them so that they can try to move up into the top 2, which you have to imagine they're going to try to do. Let's bring it back. Number 4, it will be the Memphis Grizzlies. So the Grizzlies fall to number 4, but we said they needed some lottery luck. Not falling out of the 6 or out of the top 5 is lottery luck for the Memphis Grizzlies. They're getting something of value. 2 Western Conference, 1 Eastern Conference team left. Number 3, it's going to be the New Orleans Pelicans falling to number 3. That means we're not going to have any Ty Outlaw point guard drama, but that means that the Rockets and the Sixers are now battling for number 1 and the number 2 pick in the upcoming draft. Sixers, Rockets. The Rockets would be a huge leap if they went from number 10 to number 1, and they are going to get that leap, folks. The Houston Rockets have jumped from number 1 all the way, from number 10 all the way to number 1. D.D. McDice is headed to H-Town. The Sixers end up as number 2, and they are in one heck of a position with leverage over the Los Angeles Clippers to take Javon Boston. This is a huge, huge development. So the Rockets end up number 1, the Sixers end up at number 2, and the Pelicans end up at number 3. Again, this is a 5-player draft. I think there's 5 guys with all-star upside. So if you're the Grizzlies and the Pistons, you're stoked. If you are the Clippers, it's panic mode now, folks, because you have to find a way to convince a rebuilding Philadelphia 76ers team to move off of that pick so you can go get Javon Boston, the guy you have been in constant pursuit of for the past 12 months. The Sixers, do you want to move out of that top 5? Do you want to fall and take the next best available? What type of asset are you getting back? Do you swing on saying, nope, we're going to take Javon Boston and see what happens? That is dramatic, and that's the drama that awaits the NBA draft. We've got the NBA Finals and the drama to come there, which I am excited about with the Suns and the Magic, but we've got some drama to look forward to at the end. That's our draft lottery. Rockets, Sixers, Pelicans, Grizzlies, Pistons, our top 5. It's a doozy. It's a doozy.